All right, Mike's on as well now. That's good idea. Welcome back, everyone, for another Watch and Score live stream. It's been a couple of weeks since our last one, and a whole lot has happened since then. I've got the boys back as usual. Alex Vega, 86 Boxing, Josh. Alex, how you doing, my friend?
Man, like I was just saying before this started, I'm still pumped up over last night. Man, probably one of the greatest weeks in my life as a boxing fan, for sure. I mean, from Tuesday till right now, man, just buzzing. I feel like it was my birthday 2 days ago, so I think this is probably the best birthday gift that no one knowingly gave to me.
Well, happy birthday.
I appreciate it.
How about you, Josh? You're good?
First off, happy birthday, Alex. Secondly, man, hell of a weekend. A lot of action, both in and outside of the ring. Plenty to discuss. And this is what we need more of in boxing, because this is what brings out the fans. And the best, fighting the best, is the path forward.
Absolutely. We're going to momentarily discuss the happenings of last night. But before we do, don't forget we had two massive fights this week. Earlier in the week over in Japan, we had Fulton Inoue. It should have been a close contest, but I guess Inoue didn't get the script, man. It was a masterclass performance. He was flawless, pretty much. He just dominated from start to finish. Alex, go first, mate. What did you make of the performance?
You know, when we did our preview and prediction, I really thought that Fulton, with his athleticism, with him being the bigger man, mixed in with that, I thought it was going to give Inoue problems. You know, moving up weight classes, regardless if it's 3 pounds, 5 pounds, 14 pounds, it's a difficult thing. It's there's other guys that have been in the division already that have settled. And you just don't know how you're going to react with 8-ounce gloves. You can spar whoever you want, but until you get in there, you just don't know. And we found out that Fulton didn't know that Inoue is the man, is a monster. And that was just, from the beginning, that first jab to the body, you could just tell, like, wow, this guy's fast. He's faster than Fulton. Fulton's not seeing what's coming in. And, as it went, you saw that Inoue was truly a pound for pound fighter, which a lot of people were unsure. A lot of people felt like, well, who did he fight? And if you didn't know Inoue was really top level, it's not because you didn't know the fighters' names, it's because you weren't paying attention. So that was a dominant performance. Fulton, listen, if they did that fight in Philadelphia and Las Vegas, if he was there in Japan for 3 months, I don't think it would have made a difference. I just think Inoue has shown he's that special, and I just don't see anyone else threatening him around those weight classes. 122, they said they're going to do undisputed with Tapales. People are talking about Ribisi at 126. I mean, I think he conquers all of them. I'm sure someone else will mention it later, but I mean, he'd have to go way out of his weight class, I think, for a real challenge. But Inoue, definitely on the pound for pound. Looked like he was going to be pound for pound number one for a while until another fight happened later, right?
Yeah, he might have had the shortest reign of all time, possibly, in that spot on those people's. Yeah. Josh, give us your thoughts, mate.
Yeah, what's excuse me, what's most impressive about this is not just the fact that Inoue got the victory via stoppage, is how he went about it. It's just a systematic breakdown of Stephen Fulton, and I, along with many, thought it would be a competitive fight going into the contest, but when you break it down from a round by round basis, it really wasn't competitive, and Inoue won each round clearly, so there wasn't any discrepancy, anything of that nature. It was just pretty much Inoue all day, and I think it just showed he's arrived on this MASH stage. He's fought a couple of times in the United States, but he was able to, of course, do this in Japan. But I think it just speaks to how special a fighter he is, and I think it'll add to, or at least knock on wood, I would hope, more wanting to see him fight just anywhere or all over the place outside of even Japan. Get him back to the United States again. It'll be a treat to see him in person, things of that nature. And he's in a position where, in some sense, he can dictate things just given what he's been able to do thus far. But pretty much at all steps, he's destroyed multiple champions. And save for that fight of the year situation with Nonito Donaire, there really hasn't been any points in which he was in any real trouble or anything of that nature. And even in that one, he took some cuts, but was never, in position to be knocked out or anything. But that being said, he's just continued to improve. He's on top of his game, certainly between 1 and 2 as far as pound for pound is concerned. And I think the sky's the limit for him. As Alex mentioned, he even mentioned 126. You know, thus far it seems like that may be something that Inoue can do. He can get to 126, and from all indications, his power may very well carry there to 126. So I say the sky's the limit for sure, and hopefully we get to see him in there with one of these top-notch guys at 126. Robisi Ramirez was mentioned. That seems like one that can be certainly built up. Ramirez, he has a title now, and top rank, they've gradually worked him in the mix. They're both top ranked, so it seems like it's something that can most certainly happen. So I look forward to that happening at some point down the road. But overall, just excellent performance by Inoue.
Yeah, agreed. We spoke obviously before the fight, making predictions and such. I think we all said that. I can't remember. Did we all say Inoue probably would win? I think we all did.
I had Fulton.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you had Inoue.
Yeah, I did for some reason, but obviously memory served me wrong there. But yeah, this was a fight where it was supposed to be a real test, wasn't it, for Inoue? He's he's passed the eye test before. We've seen him. He's the monster. He looks great over in Japan, knocking everyone out. And then this was supposed to be can he actually face a very decent and kind of slick boxer? And he outboxed him, and then got him, blasted him out of there. It was very impressive. So yeah, in that regard, he passed that test. He shot up the rankings on everyone's pound for pound lists, and rightly so probably. And like we said, he can go up probably several divisions. Possibly his power will probably carry him. There's lots of comments on Twitter like, "What's his sky? Where's his limit?" And jokingly, people are saying right up to cruiserweight and such. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see just how far Inoue can go. He's great to watch, and we will keep watching him, and we'll keep reporting on him in the future, depending on where he goes next.
Hey, I just wanted to add that on his way up, of course, it would have certainly been awesome if we would have gotten a chance to see him in there with Juan Francisco Estrada or Chocolatito, because those would have been some excellent matchups. But that was kind of missed or skipped, or didn't happen, of course. But that would have been excellent.
Yeah, I guess there's always going to be potential cases where maybe they've not quite fought absolutely everyone could have done, but he's going along quite nicely, and Fulton was definitely no gimme, so props to him for that. And I'm sure he'll continue to impress us at the higher weight classes as well. So that is all good. I can't for the life of me remember who was on the undercard. Oh, it was Rubise, wasn't it? He was on the undercard of that. Any comments on that one, Alex?
No, I mean, the dude he was fighting was a 39-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
I think he was coming off of maybe, one recent fight or, a little bit of activity. So Rubisi did exactly what is expected. His nickname is El Tren, the train. So he ran that dude over.
Yeah, fair enough. I didn't catch that one at all. Did you have any comments on that one, Josh? Did you see the victory?
Hey, Rubisi did his thing, as Alex mentioned. And Robeisy, he has a championship and all, and he is very much a fighter that is still growing and learning the craft. So it'll be interesting to see him in there with the likes of an Inoue and all, because you can just tell with Robeisy, just based on his last few fights, he's made some great strides, but he's not quite there at that point where I believe they ultimately see him being in terms of one of the elites pound for pounds potentially. And I think that a lot of that will be contingent on kind of how he's moved here moving forward. But I think it will be competitive in any contest with the elite fighter. It's just that you can just tell that there are probably still some things that he needs to button up and correct, especially on the defensive side. So that's all I like.
Okay, cool. That's all good then. I think that's that one covered. Before we just do move on, I'll say congratulations to you both, and also the other Americans who was hollering on Twitter about how early they were up for the boxing. Congratulations on that. Like it's a big deal, you know. Us in Europe, and especially on the other side of Europe, they have even later nights than we do in the UK for those huge American cards, such as the one last night, which is a nice segue. Let's go into it. Spence Crawford, what an event, what a fight. Maybe not quite the contest that everyone was expecting. I think everyone expected it to be a lot closer. Josh, I'm going to throw over to you first on this one. Give us your verdict. Crawford wins. Brutal stoppage. Go for it.
Man, even leading into the very last minute, I was saying, hey, I think it's going to go split decision. Oh, this is so close, 50-50. That's what I was telling people. I had switched up from what I had indicated probably several months back. And those eyes just seemed to continue to get tightened. And I was expecting it to be a very competitive fight all the way up through the end. Excuse me. One of the things that I was thinking about is how the vicious body work that we associate with Spence, how that would be applied, and how Crawford would react to that later in the fight. But for all who witnessed, we know that it was not an issue at all because it was a complete demolition job. Now, I did give Spence, I believe it was round one, and that was on activity more so, but neither fighter was in any situation or any trouble there in that first round. But from round two on, demolition job, destruction, what we would say. Some would argue Spence got exposed. I won't go that far. I think he was a very good fighter. He had some very good opponents that he beat, but it's clear to me at least there was a reason that they didn't want to be in there with Terrence Crawford early on. The thing that made me sort of shift positions on who I thought would ultimately win the fight and who I thought was behind the delays in the fight was when they had that face to face at one of the fights some 5 years ago. And I could just, for me, I just didn't like the answer, sort of body language from Spence. And I felt like if if he was as dead set on making that Crawford fight happen as Crawford was, then he would have reacted a bit differently and we would have gotten it sooner. But that being said, hey, no better time than right now. And we just so happen to get this fight right now, even though it's probably a little bit or 4 years beyond when we were initially thinking. But it wasn't a case where it was like Mayweather Pacquiao, where anyone had been knocked out by another fighter or anything of that nature. So I think it lived up to certain expectations as far as just the build up and then the intensity for the fight, especially there in those early rounds. But we saw that Terrence Crawford was just a level above, it seems. If not a level above, then just a notch above where Spence can reach from a peak standpoint as far as his skill set is concerned. And Crawford just systematically broke him down. The jab was a key aspect of it. I mean, Crawford needs to start getting recognition as one of the best jabs in boxing if he's not already. up there certainly maybe the best. We don't typically think about that, but he was actually hurting Errol Spence with the jab. So it was as though Spence just wasn't even prepared for anything other than a power shot coming from Crawford. So just excellent display by Crawford. I think he showed that he's the standout of this era, and he is one that will, when it's all said and done, be mentioned amongst the legendary names. And also, I will say that this fight, just given what Crawford did, it was better than Mayweather Pacquiao, for instance, which was another fight that had this high billing or whatever, but it didn't quite deliver. Crawford is one of those guys who is like an assassin heat seeking missile, and there was no way he was going to allow Spence to get out of there scotch free. He wasn't letting it go to decision. He wanted this to be definitive. And if you look at his comments, even post fight, it just shows you he had all this built in and it all boiled over. He was just waiting for his chance and he was confident and it showed.
Absolutely. You said it right there. It's like a systematic breakdown of Spence. No one really saw it coming. Alex, what did you make of the performance?
Coming into this fight, it was two of the top fighters in the world going at it. Everyone expected it to be a tremendous battle, something to remember. Two titans clashing, and that round one, Spence came out well. He was pumping the jab. I had questions about his foot speed, and it looked like he was keeping up with what Bud was doing. And then round two happened, and once round two happened, that was the beginning of the end. It was the start of a one-sided beatdown. Crawford was capitalizing on every mistake Errol was making, and the biggest one we saw was what led to the knockdown. Errol reaching to the body with a jab, not protecting himself, keeping his backhand away from guarding his chin, and he got hit with a hard 2-1. Like you said, the jab of of Crawford showed it was superior, and not just superior to Errol's, but maybe one of the best in all of boxing. Man, we expected to see something memorable, and I think it's exactly what we got. That was one of the greatest performances I've ever seen from a top level fighter. You know, he showed he was leaps and bounds over Errol. It doesn't mean Errol's a bad fighter. It just truly speaks to the greatness of Terrence Bud Crawford. He deserves every flower. He deserves everything you could say good about somebody. You should be saying it about Terrence Bud Crawford. He said he would do this. He said he would dominate. He said he would win. He did everything possible to go ahead, get in the ring, and defeat Errol Spence. I'm hearing a few excuses, quote unquote, I should say. People saying he looked drained.
Yeah.
He stayed at the weight class too long. But it's funny because I'm sure a lot of those people were picking him to win. So, let's
Hmm.
let's keep it how you were beforehand. If you thought he was gonna win, this is he got proven that he was not the better fighter. What could be next for either of them? I I hope it's not an immediate rematch, regardless of
Yeah.
weight. One of my friends said that fight could happen at 175, and it'll be basically around the same thing. So, man, what a tremendous week in boxing, and I think Terrence Bud Crawford has cemented himself at number one pound for pound, and one of the greatest fighters of all time with a performance like that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think for the most part on social media and such, there's not actually been such a massive fallout of people taking sides. I think everyone just is heaping praise on Crawford that they might not otherwise have done before the fight. There's a lot of comments up there that he never got the respect he deserves and all of that, and he was never the A side fighter on a lot of cards, and he's done things the hard way, and now he's reaping all the rewards. I think he's everyone across the sport can see just what a great talent he is, and last night he just demonstrated it in the ring, the best place to do it. And Yeah, man, it capped off a good week of boxing. Two huge fights into interesting divisions, and they weren't quite as close contests as everyone probably expected. But that didn't take anything away from them. They were both great fights with individually brilliant performances, and that's what we want as boxing fans. Even if it doesn't turn out to be a close contest, it was still a good contest. And one fighter came out superior on both occasions, and the two defeated guys. It doesn't diminish them in any way. It just propels the other person just that bit more. Sorry. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see where both Spence and Crawford go in the future. I've kind of put a few tweets out there today saying that last night was their pinnacle. That was their standout fight for each of them, and kind of from here it's all either downhill or he's never going to top last night basically. Crawford, sorry. If he goes up a division, he could. I don't know if there's any really major names apart from Charlo, who's kind of tied in with Canelo at least for the time being. But that being said, he does hold all of those belts, and if he was to lose to Canelo, he'll still have all of his belts, and Crawford could potentially be his opponent and then become undisputed at a third weight class. That could be in his mind. I don't think there's anyone in the division below that'll trouble Crawford, and they're not really huge names there either. And in his own welterweight division, there's obviously Ennis coming through and Virgil Ortiz, but they're the next generation. I don't know if he'd take on them or whether you two would want to see any of those names. Do any of those options stand out to you, Alex? What you'd like to see next with Crawford?
Honestly, he just defeated the big foe, right? The big rival. So, listen, if he wanted to do, basically, there's not a matchup I would be upset with. There's not anybody else that truly is seen as a potential rival. I think ideally, honestly, the winner of Canelo Charlo, that's really it. If we would have to see this guy go up like a crazy amount of pounds, basically. Go up 15 to 20 pounds to truly see if he's going to be actually challenged to where there's an actual chance he could lose. And I don't think Charlo is that guy to do it. And I think it'd be against Canelo more of size. Yeah. But other than that, there's Ennis. I'm sorry, he's just not there yet. Maybe potentially in a couple fights if he gets like a Keith Thurman. I'd say Keith Thurman or Keith Thurman Ugas win if they match up. I'd say. But other than that, there just really isn't somebody I give an actual chance. Besides more than a puncher's chance. How about that? So
yeah, I mean this is exactly why I put it out there. There's not actually many options for Crawford really that of much interest, and it's he's still got plenty left in the tank, so he's definitely going to keep fighting on. It's just where does he go? He needs to stay at this level, and that's why I'm possibly thinking maybe Charlo, even if Charlo does lose to Canelo, just for that undisputed third weight thing, as it's another feather in the cap, so to speak. Any thoughts for you, Josh, on that potential future opponents for Crawford?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same board. I hadn't thought of that Canelo thing, but that certainly would be a very interesting one for sure. I think Ennis might be a little bit more competitive from the look as far as the early part of the contest, but I do think that Crawford is a better fighter at this point than Duran Ennis. Virgil Ortiz seems to be having some issues just from a health perspective and actually making weight at 147, and therefore it will likely be fighting at 154 his next time out. So that one even don't know how that'll look, and we need to see Ortiz back in there for one just to make sure all is in order with him. But overall, yeah, I think that Crawford is the cream of the crop, and he can really dictate things. But certainly if he moves up to 154 and after the Canelo Charlo fight, Charlo is back down at 154, which he said he was, and there's an opportunity for another undisputed type situation, then I think that would just be icing on the cake for the career of Terrence Crawford. So that's what I look forward to, just if that fight's going to happen.
Yeah. And then how about, while you're there, Josh, how about on Spence then? What do you reckon is next for Spence, or where would be a good place to go?
Well, it seems he's keen on 154, which means that he and Crawford could potentially cross paths there. Of course, if he's about title contention, then he would have to fight his stablemate, Jamel Charlo. And whether or not that would happen, I'm not sure. So 154 seems like it's where he's headed. There are some decent names there. Still, of course, there's still some stuff to be desired, at least at this point. So I think a lot of that will hinge on what happens with Jamel Charlo. But there's some fights out there that, at least thinking about it from a PBC standpoint, which is how they tend to operate, having their fighters take on each other in most cases. They are setting certain things up as far as Danny Garcia. He's going to be taking on Erislandy Lara. There's going to be a title on the line or whatever. So I could see somewhere down the road Spence, working his way into a title at 154, assuming Jamel vacates and moves up, or even 160, depending on how it all ends up as far as what happens with this title and then some of the other ones that are out there. I think that 160 is pretty much wide open at the moment. So I think it'll be something along those lines, and it'll be interesting to see how he bounces back, because I'm sure it was a humbling experience. And hey, great fighters, they show their mark by bouncing back from these type situations. So I'd be interested in seeing what that next fight looks like.
Alex, you got anything to add there?
Yeah, I think Josh really hit it on the head there. There's a lot of options for him, and I think definitely the Danny Garcia versus Lara winner could be a big fight for him to basically gain another accolade and give him a good chance to win. I also think maybe the Mendoza or the Mendoza versus Fundora 2 winner. I think that's another great potential matchup. Or give this guy a fucking tune-up, man. Like, you want to throw in like a name like a Tony Harrison, who unfortunately took a bad beating, or just find somebody else. I don't know, just someone that he can go ahead and gain some confidence, because that type of beating he just took, I think, took a lot of confidence away, and that's very important when you're a fighter.
Yeah, no, that'd be the right move, absolutely. Up into a new division, coming off a loss, you wouldn't begrudge him a kind of a bit of a tune-up fight next. So that'd be fair enough.
Stay active, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to keep staying active. All right, then. I think, was there anything else you wanted to discuss on the undercard of that one? Shout out if there's anything of significant that you want to discuss. I didn't see any of the undercard, unfortunately. I just set my alarm straight into the main event.
Now, I caught I just want to say, we were talking last time about this Cuban fighter Tellez going up against Sergio Garcia. He pulled it off. Let's go, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Check his gloves.
Came in 5-0, haven't fought anyone, and got Sergio Garcia out of there. So that was a highlight right there.
Crazy. He just had a 6-round decision like 2.5 months ago, and then knocks out Sergio Garcia, who went 24 rounds with Fundora and Tony Harrison.
Yeah, so be on the lookout.
Hey, I think I might have called that, didn't I, in the last time? Said I wouldn't be surprised if he just turned up and beat the Spaniard that's got the kind of a, padded record, I guess you could say. Turns out I was correct. Anyway, all right, well, let's move things along. We spent a bit of time there covering the two big fights of this week. I think last weekend, Kambosos got a win over Max Hughes. We don't need to discuss that in absolute detail, but I believe it potential bit of a robbery, Alex.
Definitely a robbery in my eyes. Listen, number one thing when you're scoring is clean and effective punching. Maxi Hughes with that left hand was, I wouldn't say dominating, but was making it pretty clear that he was landing that. And yeah, just just gives you the feeling that a promoter was making sure that they're moving the guy they just signed to another matchup to basically pump up someone else they have in mind. So it's unfortunate. I feel bad for Maxi. He deserved that win 100% in my eyes.
Yeah, sounds like he got a bit done out there. Josh, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was able to catch it down. I wasn't giving it my 100% uh, attention, and I didn't get a chance to score it, which I had intended to. But from what I saw, yeah, it looked like Maxie Hughes was definitely outboxing Cambosos, who looked pretty pedestrian at times. And it had me questioning, like, how the heck was he able to pull off getting a world title, lacking just that sort of general fundamental skills? Now, he works best if he finds a way on the inside and he gets you to brawl with him. But man, hey, he just had a hell of a night there with Teofimo Lopez, and given the circumstances and all, and the way Teofimo fought, because I think the second time around he wouldn't. So Cambosos, he's going to be one of those names now that is going to be available for an opponent, or he'll be the opponent and a former world champion to add to a resume, maybe of a Shakur Stevenson or something like that. Though we all know what would happen if he steps in there with Shakur, so maybe we won't see that. So they should put him in some fights that would be exciting. Maybe match him with some guys that come to brawl as opposed to the boxers, because when he's in there with someone who just operates from a technical standpoint as a boxer, he seems to struggle pretty heftily. And I was saying back when he first kind of got on the scene, or at least I first became aware of him, he fought Lee Selby. I felt that he was outboxed in that fight. Now he got the decision and all, but it just seems that he struggles with guys who are technically sound. So if I'm top rank, I'm throwing him in there with some guys who are going to come forward, make it an exciting fight, maybe even build him up to where some consider him, hey, a title threat, maybe at 135 or 140. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Well, yeah, I think that's a fair take, to be fair. Okay, let's move things along then. Let's get on with our fight that we're going to watch and score now. I believe... Yes, sorry. The instructions have been on the screen for the duration of the stream so far. So if you want to come and join us in our scoring group, you can be a registered member at fight-score.com/register. You sign up there, you will have access to the group section. And if you go into the groups, you can join the group using a code. And if you use that code there, FSYT22, you will become part of our scoring group for these live streams, and you will see all of our scorecards that we create and everybody else that's in that group. And while we are on our live streams, that's when we can analyze our cards and scores next to each other, compare them, and we can see the group's average scorecard for the fight as well. So let's get into this week's boxing action. Alex, are you with us?
Yes, of course.
You want to give us a quick introduction to this fight and we will get on with?
Absolutely. So this week we're doing the great fight between Salvador Sanchez versus Azumah Nelson. Let's start with the title challenger, Azumah Nelson, coming in at 24 years old, standing at 5'5" with a 68-inch reach, from Accra, Ghana. I hope I pronounced that right. Was a 50-2 amateur. He's coming in 13-0 with 10 KOs, taking the fight on short notice, replacing contender Mario Miranda. Now we move on to the great champion, Salvador Sanchez, only 23-0, 5'6", 68-inch reach as well, from Santiago, Tianguistenco, Mexico. He is 8-0 with 3 KOs in world title fights, fighter of the year in 1981, and he's the current WBC featherweight champion. 43 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 31 KOs.
Nice. Some good records there. So this should be interesting. Way back from 1982. That was a long time ago. I think none of us was born then. Let me just get us set up on here. I need to stop the music for one.
Yeah, no, what's crazy is this fight, right? You said 1982. It was July 21st. It took place on a Wednesday. So
yeah, I've
you
noticed
gotta put more respect on these different days.
I've noticed as we've been covering these more historical fights, a lot of them were midweek fights. I wonder when they started doing it, more towards a weekend kind of thing. Seemed like quite a regular occurrence back in years gone by.
I think a lot of fights were like closed circuits, so maybe they were able to, just do it on a specific day for whatever reason, and try to get a different telecast later or whatever it may be.
Okay, right. Well, we are here. I've got the fight up now on the screen. Hopefully, people have seen in the description there is a link directly to this fight if you want to score it along with us, so you can create a scorecard in that link. If someone can put that into the group chat, that would be quite useful. Add to the stream chat, sorry. I'll get started. I'm going to decrease that volume
Be sure
down.
to hit the like button.
That's a great reminder, Josh. Thank you.
Perfect filler there. And this fight is actually in Madison Square Garden, of course, in the big NYC, New York. Promoted by Only in America, Don King.
Okay, it's a pretty old fight, so the footage might not be the best. But here we go. Thank you, Josh.
Oh, man.
No problem.
Oof.
Straight into it.
Yeah, man. Azumah Nelson, like I said, just 13-0, starting his career out. Only his second fight outside the continent of Africa. Most of his fights were in Ghana, Sierra Leone, Zambia, and Togo. But he did have one fight in the U.S. in Bakersfield. Oh, wow, man. He is really letting them things go, huh? I mean, what else can you ask from a fighter? Taking it on short notice, not his experience, facing the great Salvador Sanchez. This guy was seen as pound for pound one of the best fighters, one of the best featherweights already. Only 23 years old. I probably got to mention that a lot. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, that surely puts things in perspective as far as just how young these guys were fighting each other at that top level. And that's generally been the case when you date back in history. You think about Hearns, Leonard, etc. Similar situation. These guys were early 20s, and they were able to be standouts in the sport and put on classic fights even at that age.
Man, Azumah, man, he landed a nice, solid right hand. He's pressing forward. Definitely, I think, shocking a lot of people right now with Boss said he can't find where to score.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't look like the right link, actually.
Oh, my fault.
Oh, some nice shots there by Nelson.
See Azumah with the little tap step in there. He's definitely very confident. He looks fast. He looks strong. Sanchez is definitely having to see exactly what's coming. Like he goes to the body. Azumah comes up top with a counter hook, right hand too. Definitely, I think this is all a clear Azumah Nelson round.
Oh yeah,
amazing 13-0 facing a fight of this caliber, and he doesn't look like he's outclassed. He doesn't look like he's gonna. It's not like it's. I'm sorry. Expending so much energy he's in there doing what he can looks like he knows how to do, which is fight, box.
Mm-hmm.
You see Sanchez just looking for answers, unsure of what to do. So here we go, and round one.
Yeah.
Bam. Thank you. It happens, man. Let's do this.
Round two, that's Azumah Nelson in the yellow trunks. Salvador Sanchez, the champion, in the red for the WBC.
You see, man, Salvador really is looks like he really wants to counter. And yeah, Zuma seems like he's in control. Like I said, they're listed only 1 inch apart, but I don't know if maybe it's Salvador's fro, but he looks like he's at least 2 inches bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But
Maybe
even
some,
just the bodies.
yeah, maybe some exaggeration on Nelson's part.
Yeah, Azuma looks like he looks like dog bay in there.
Yeah.
Man, he is just too fast for Salvador, huh?
Yes.
Oh
Sure.
man, what a hook! Man, he's just super fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean when you're dealing with something like that, I mean I haven't really seen him countered off the jab, so jab. But don't jab like Errol, jab
Yeah.
like
Right.
Terrence. You see, Azuma knows. He says, "Man, I just have to wait. That's it. Once I know Salvador's throwing, I'm quicker, and my punches are shorter." Ah, there you go. See, now Azuma's starting to reach with the jab a little bit, so we'll see if Salvador can take advantage of that.
Yeah. And Sanchez, you can just see his footwork is amazing. The way he is able to shift, bounce in and out, just elite.
Yeah, man, Ghanaians are definitely tough. You always hear people talk about how physically strong they are as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. Oh man, Zuma caught him with a counter right, and Salvador was able to finish that with a counter left hook. So, those are the type of exchanges you definitely want to see. Yeah, we go. I mean, within the last 30 seconds, I think it's still up for grabs. Maybe significant, combination. Oof. All right, glancing left hand by Azuma. So I was realizing Azuma was more crouched in the beginning with his success. Now he's starting to stand a little more straight up, and I think that's leading to Salvador having more success. Yeah, finally, right? Close round, but I think there was one obvious winner. As Blue Blood would say, salute, salute, salute.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anyone caught, but did you? Never mind. Oh, what's going on?
I think he got to get lucky earlier, John, because
So Sanchez actually had that one loss. It was early on in his career. He actually lost to Antonio Becerra, who was only 13-2.
Mhm.
Um, and then in his U.S. debut, he got a majority draw against an 8-2 fighter, Juan Escobar. He actually
Mhm.
got dropped in that fight in the fifth round and almost stopped towards the end, according to BoxRec. So, but since then, 24-0, 15 KOs. So, young gentleman, young fighter, went, learning on the job. Pretty crazy, because nowadays I think he would have been thrown away.
Right. Yeah, that just speaks to how you can have redemption. It is a learning process. As a matter of fact, a lot of the old timers they went through some of those growing pains and they had to fight their way through. And you took some losses. If you fight long enough against a high level of competition, that'll happen. But it's certainly not the end of the road.
I think this round is again Azuma Nelson showing he's a little too fast. You see, he's starting to bounce a lot more.
Uh-huh.
Nelson stopped for a moment, backed up and just smiled at Sanchez. Sanchez is not taking the first round.
I hope to do. I always hear about Nelson's fight with Finich, the
Mm,
Australian. So I hope that we come across that anniversary soon because I always hear how close it was, and one of the sanctioning bodies did something to where they, kind of overturned it within their on their
yeah.
end.
Never seen a film on it either.
Yeah.
So he really doesn't know as much about it, any more about it than we do. So he's probably taking a little, doing a little homework.
Man, just shorter punches. It's funny because I feel like Salvador's throwing the straight punches, but that left hook is just landing for Nelson, huh?
Yeah, Nelson's got a lot packed into those hooks.
Look at the smile on his face. Just continuously smiling.
Yeah, Boz, that's why I really want to see it because I hear it's so controversial. But you look at a Zuma Nelson's record, man. I mean, he fought who's during those time in those weight classes. So very interesting to maybe peek into his career. I mean, look at this, 13-0, fighting freaking. They say the greatest Mexican of all time
Yeah.
Good hand by Sanchez.
and winning.
Mm.
5 seconds left in the round. Sanchez got two good hooks.
Sanchez looking like a sharpshooter right there.
That's the end of the round. Well,
Yeah, not bad.
here we go with round.
Oh man, little known fact: Salvador Sanchez actually KO'd Felix Trinidad Sr. in 5 rounds, and of course that is the father and former trainer of Felix Tino Trinidad.
Awesome. Nice little nugget there.
Hmm.
Round four. Azumah Nelson
Yeah, a lot of
in
times
blue.
you don't realize a lot of these.
Sanchez in red.
I'm sorry.
Pending crowd count for the WBC.
Hey man, the dad's a dad, you know.
Every fight has been good, real good.
Man, definitely seeing more conviction from Sanchez to start off this round.
Yeah.
Mm.
Sanchez starting to come back with his own mean hooks.
Yeah, no, that back right hand, huh? He seems to have found something by leaning over and throwing it. All right, shot. Oof. Oh, look at that. This guy's funny, huh?
Mm.
2 minutes to go.
Yeah, no, definitely seeing the conviction in Sanchez. He looks comfortable now.
Salvador Sanchez, 1
Look at that
Sanchez,
upper body movement. Okay. Looking
yeah,
like Purnell in there.
yeah, he's just so swift, and he's defensively sound enough that he just know when to step in or out and dip in the right way.
Yeah, ever since Sanchez started bending at the waist, it's leading to more success for him.
Yeah.
Kind of with Arrow, man. Arrow, when he was attacking, was not doing that, and he was too close when he was trying to do the upper body movement. So he was never out of Terrence's long wingspan.
Yeah.
So it shows you need to be able to transition from offense to defense, back to offense, and if needed, back to defense. You know how important it is and how difficult it is.
Hmm.
Oof, that was a hard right hand. Oh yeah, yeah. Look at that, man. And then we got some back and forth here, huh?
Oh yeah.
Ooh, oof. Yeah, I was literally, it's funny. I was literally gonna say, I'm leaning towards Sanchez, and then he, takes over for 10 seconds and more.
Yeah. Yeah. Sanchez has been able to slip in some of those uppercuts, the short hooks in between punches.
Golly, it felt like they went over some seconds there. Was that 4 rounds down? I'm not gonna lie. For the fight yesterday, man. I mean, I remember I started doing things like around 10 a.m. Next thing I knew, it was 4 o'clock. I was like, "This is great."
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Boss said that most of Sanchez's fights KOs came at the end. That's tough.
Cool.
See, we got two Cambosos judges here. You A side lovers. Boz, man, it is true. I'm working towards the bazooka fight, but Salvador actually defeated Danny Little Red Lopez. He was a kind of a popular fighter in the like the late '70s, '80s.
Mm.
Actually, stopped him in the 13th round for the title. They rematched 4 months later. In a the first fight was very one sided. However, in the second fight, more competitive, but stopped him in the 14th round. So, man, Boz speaking straight facts. To be consistently stopping people late. That's man, you are that dude. A little bit more lows here. Haven't really seen anything significant land. Yeah, man, Azuma standing straight up is really bothering me.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, they're both landing one punch, maybe here and there. Oof, nice hook though by Azuma.
Mm,
Not very technical punches there, but we see that he's strong. He looks like he definitely punch.
yep. And the judges, I'd imagine, see that aggressiveness when he's there in on Sanchez. And maybe that sways them in certain ways.
I noticed too, Azuma gets a little maybe too front foot heavy. Kind of leaning towards the front, so that might take a little bit off his a little bit of steam off. But I mean, if he didn't hit hard, I think Salvador would have been pressing forward a little more. You
Yeah.
see, they fight in the kitchen, so I think
Mm.
Salvador is okay with the power now.
Heavy exchanges on the inside there.
Yeah, I felt Salvador was catching a lot of those shots as he ate a fucking another punch. But he did do a lot of catching on the arms and elbows. But of course, Azuma's good, man. He's landing shit.
Oh, yeah.
I think this will be. Oof.
And Nelson understands or seemingly understands that, yeah, this is a war he'll have to wage on the inside. So, yeah, he is standing straight up at times, but he's coming in and understanding where he's going to be most effective.
What's my reason? Just eat it, eat it. It's funny, man. They both uppercutted each other twice in that first replay, but it looked like Azuma had the better, the more eye-catching shots there. Both landed
Yeah.
though. Yeah. Filled in for a gentleman named Mario Miranda. I couldn't find exactly how many days notice or weeks. It was very difficult to get that information, but it just kept saying last minute. Yeah. So.
Nice left hook.
And no, I mean he had big fights lined up. Listen, oh, I'm sorry, a second here. Have my volume of the video up, but yeah, big victory over Wilfredo Bazooka Gomez. I mean, Gomez was 32-0 at one draw, 32 knockouts, and Salvador stopped him. That fight there, that victory alone put him on pound for pound list. Made him like a global superstar instead of just on this side of the water. So
Mhm.
I mean, there was talks of them doing a rematch and facing other top guys after this fight. So this was definitely maybe of course overlooking Azuma. It was unknown.
Yeah.
Interesting, man. Literally, these guys are just walking around the ring. Like nobody cares to cut the ring off.
Ooh, nice left hook.
He comes at such a weird angle. He kind of wings that thing, huh?
I was thinking the same thing. So I'll give him credit. He only seems to do it when he feels he's in range, or when he thinks he's in the right range. So I guess you could say he's economical in that way.
I felt like he's catching him a lot, trying to on the exit with that hook.
Yeah.
Oof, big right hand by Azumah, huh?
Both
But
of them
man,
having moments here.
a couple of times I felt like Azumah might have been hurt, and then he comes back with a, like you said, like left hook.
Yeah.
Sure is. Yeah, see, I just think if Salvador would jab more, this would be a bit easier for me.
Yeah. He's being drawn in. Yeah. Very, super close there.
Boss said he finally gave us Sanchez a round. This was actually Salvador's first fight on the East Coast. A lot of times he was in obviously Mexico, California, Texas, and not too a lot of success, to be honest. Only 5,000 in attendance, 5,573, and a gate of
Ooh.
129,000.
Oh yeah. Heavy left hook there from Sanchez. Mm. Ooh. Sharp with those things.
This is actually my first fight watching Salvador Sanchez.
Awesome. I've caught his two most famous fights. One being this one.
Oh, okay. I'm assuming the other one is against Wilfredo Gomez.
Indeed. I like how Nelson, even though he got dropped, he's game enough to know that, hey, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna still press it offensively.
He's having success.
Yeah. Don't know how hurt he was, but he's certainly trying not to show that he was hurt.
Finally, a little bit of a low, huh? I feel like Sanchez's most success comes when he's kind of in that close to kind of mid range, and he's going side to side, throwing hooks, uppies. But I mean, the thing is, Azumah is just so persistent. Just seems like real stubborn that he's always catching him with something. So maybe Salvador did a little bit of a sidestep that'll help him more instead of the straight pull back.
Yeah.
Hands down. Man, I know Azuma got knocked down, but I think there's a strong case that that's a 10-9.
He was certainly working his way back, winning the latter half of this round for sure.
Oof.
That was an interesting one right there.
Must be tired.
We're going to look at that again, Larry, and we're going to see the first left hook, the one that stung him.
What Nelson did, he had his hands down and
Almost went down from that.
made a move, and Sanchez stepped in with a left hook.
And here's the one he went down with. It wasn't
That was
as
a
big as
that was a
the
beautiful
left hook
fucking
was
hook.
gonna do. It was a short left hook.
Yes, it was. It was a very good left hook. Sanchez, we know, can punch.
Sanchez
Knock the
coming up
sweat
with
off
two
his
points
ass.
now as we get ready for the 8th round. Here we go. Sanchez even has a different look on his face, Larry.
Looked like the old Sanchez
He's
again.
got that I got you look on his face.
Yeah, indeed.
His legs are in pretty bad shape. And he got him a solid punch now. Could put him down.
They have a small pond over in that left corner.
He's taking his time.
Oh,
That's what
that's what it was
Sanchez
wiping.
have to take his time.
Yeah.
Nelson, once he gets hurt, he throws a flurry of punches, and Sanchez don't want to get caught with one.
Jesus, yeah. Someone pee there?
Lumping punches now, Larry, of Nelson.
Come on, ref. Jesus Christ.
This fight not knowing too much of Nelson, too much of
Boz, you are absolutely correct.
I predicted the 6th round.
6. You're a typical fighter.
Yeah. That's why fighters can't judge or referee good.
Jack Dempsey, one of the greatest fighters ever in the history of the world, right? Never a pick me winner, Larry.
I think I'll have to watch a little more Salvador Sanchez to see why people say he's the greatest Mexican. He seems like a pretty good fighter, but I understand this was difficult, short notice, stuff like that.
John King put on a good show right here in
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden. Put these guys together. This is what boxing needs. Good fights, competitive fights.
Well, he sure gave it to him tonight.
Definitely a slower round, as it, I think there's a couple good hits in the beginning, but other than that, haven't really been landing much.
Larry just takes his time. You don't know as the time goes
Yeah.
on.
Like I said, you're making
Yeah,
progress.
Sanchez pretty much on the back foot, flicking out that jab, not throwing it with intensity through a large portion of that, at least.
No fight back game. Very, very strong, determined
Oof.
fighter. But I think he's outclassed by Sanchez.
He experiences that, Larry.
Sanchez about 20 seconds ago countered Azuma's jab with his own. I think that would be a tool he should use more
Edge against
because Azuma's standing so straight up.
46 fights.
Hmm.
And a champion who's been in there with everybody there is to be in there with him.
He has seen the hitters.
I definitely like Salvador's upper body movement. He looks so smooth doing it. I can see where Chavez got it from.
Yeah.
Nice short hook again, but didn't really get it on the button there. Nice right hand. Jesus Christ.
This is boxing skill.
It's the end of the round. End of round 8. That area, there's a lot of Latin fans here in New York.
This is 8? Yeah.
As we look at
Doom,
the fourth
doom,
round
doom. Mm.
of Salvador Sanchez.
This is moving about for sure.
No talk going on in the corner at all. I guess they have clearly said that he knows what he has to do and he knows how to fight. I don't think he's making any mistakes, so no need for any chatter, I guess, in the corner.
Not bad.
Once again, guys, if you could go ahead, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, hit that as well. Appreciate everyone taking time out today, watching this great fight.
Indeed.
Best week in boxing history, baby. Ending it on the right on a good note.
Getting ready now for round 9. Nelson up off his stool early, and the champion just sits there, waits for the bell.
I have no idea what fights are coming up.
Take advantage.
I just thought about. Oh, I remember now.
Here in round 9.
Got the UK fight, Anthony Joshua in a couple weeks.
Oh yeah.
The champion has come on.
Mm,
This is what I'm saying. That Sanchez
yeah,
is
Hmm.
doing again is boxing him, not getting into no war.
yeah.
Ooh, short left hook right there.
Sanchez is getting the work
Nelson immediately goes back on the offensive anytime he's hurt.
One fighter that of current day that reminds me of what I'm seeing from Azumah is Christian and Billy, a
Mm.
168 pounder. I believe he's from Cameroon, fighting out of Canada, or from Cameroon or something like that to France to Canada. But
Hmm.
another guy, straight power punches, and can get hurt. If you've seen the Carlos Gongora fight, and just super resilient. Gets hurt and comes back like 10 seconds later. It's like remarkable how they
Certainly.
recover.
He's going to be fighting coming up against my guy Damon Nicholson, so that should be an interesting one.
Mm, okay. Yeah, that's yeah, these boys.
Gotta love that gameness of Nelson. Yeah, coming in as an unknown commodity. You never know what you're gonna get in all actuality, but these are the types of opportunities where if you are a fighter looking to sort of step to that next level and get to the public's eye, you gotta kind of go all out like Azumah Nelson is doing here.
Hmm.
Yeah. Right.
Two-hand push. Salvador definitely is super confident in there.
Hmm.
He wants Azuma to come. Like, come on, come in here. Oof. That's what happens when you overthrow that hook.
Azumah Nelson hollering into his face. Can't see him now. He's blocked out by the other second.
You know, John, that's kind of embarrassing when you
Yeah, let me see what you guys say. All right.
even though I wasn't hurt, and Nelson don't have to be hurt and still get it.
Interesting fact about Azuma, he actually had 3 bouts already scheduled for 15 rounds in his short career of 13 fights. He actually earned and defended the Commonwealth featherweight title, and the furthest he ever made it to was a 10th round, which is 3 times. 2 KOs in the 10th round. Interesting. His first professional fight went all 10 rounds.
Wow.
That's what Sanchez has going, and you got to use it a little more.
Yeah.
The 80s Andy Cruz, huh?
Right. Right. Yeah, that happened with him. I still need to watch that contest.
Hmm. Yeah, Cruz is cool, man. very hard to what he's facing a former title challenger, his first fight.
Yeah,
Hmm.
indeed. Maybe we'll see him and Keyshawn Davis again at some point. It's very interesting.
Keyshawn, man, great fighter, but Jesus, does he talk a lot?
Yeah, I saw a video of him and Frank Martin going at it.
Hmm. Told Frank to his face, "I'll beat his ass. I'll beat Frank's ass." Kind of like we're seeing, a two-sided ass whooping here, but these guys are attempting to whoop each other's ass, I should say.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was a nice right to the body, and then follow up left hook by Salvador. See, he has this bad tendency of when he steps back. Sometimes he'll kind of switch to the southpaw stance, and he's crossing his feet, and real susceptible to counters. And Azuma's kind of catching him, but I don't think taking full advantage of it.
Yeah.
We're not seeing that left hook anymore, Josh.
Right. Pace is slowed down a bit.
Nice little duck under. Like a villain. That's funny. My girlfriend says the same thing sometimes. I walk away from the kids and they're crying. I go, ha 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 ha.
Indeed. Nelson finally using the jab.
Truly is.
He has success when he uses the jab, even though most times he operates coming in just looking to do the power shots. Yeah. Nothing really significant landed in that round, but certainly busier on the Sanchez front.
So much for Sanchez, but Nelson, who has only had 13 fights and has never been in against the likes of Sanchez,
Mm.
I don't think it'll go 50 rounds. But I'll tell
That
you
was
what,
probably the least exciting fight of the least exciting round of the fight.
I'd co-sign that.
Azumah Nelson,
5 rounds to go.
he's fresh looking. He's up off the stool, ready to
It's
go.
crazy.
He's got a heart bigger than his body, this kid.
Yes, he does.
Camacho versus Rosario, man. I heard that at that time Camacho was probably pound for pound number one in the world, and that fight kind of took it out of him. He kind of was never that top, amazing fighter after that fight.
Mm, certainly.
Mhm. 1986. So just a few years after this. So that means there could have been a chance of that was 130. No, that was that 135 or 130, Boz.
This is Sanchez's first time in Madison Square Garden. He had won before here before. He's always said that he
I was
loves
gonna
this
say if
place.
that was at 130, then there was a chance that Salvador could have moved up and fought Camacho. 135, so nah.
His pace
Come on,
has
guys, do
dwindled.
something.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, you're spot on. The pace has dwindled a bit. Uh, Nelson kind of just following him around.
Head to head, baby. Come on, hit him, hit him. Ooh, nice left hook.
There you
Jesus
go.
Christ!
Ooh,
Oh my God!
nice one.
Don't kill him! Don't kill him! Oof. Yeah, man. Salvador, he can catch him with clean shots, but it's like sometimes his hands just go too mute.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, he's at his best when he's going up and under, and
Kind of like a push to the back of the head, sort of.
mm,
Yeah, he did.
yeah, agreed.
He at least forced the action out of Sanchez, who was kind of just flicking that jab out there, standing back.
Man, they hit each other a lot in the back of the head that round.
Yeah.
Salvador Sanchez we're watching in the corner. He got hurt, as Larry told you, with a left hook toward the end of that last round, round 11. Now we'll take another look at it. This is with the right hand. Watch Nelson now. Nelson in the yellow trunks.
Seemed like Nelson just got a whole new bunch of energy. Just kept throwing punches.
Oof.
Very determined.
He caught him with a pretty good right hand. That's the one that stung him.
Yeah,
The last three punches, the right hand stung Salvador Sanchez. Getting ready for round 12 now, and Nelson out in the corner again early. Here we go.
Zuma, man, tough guy, huh?
Oh, he got stung pretty bad in that last round. Nelson starts out this round with a
was.
right-hand lead with Lance.
Let's hope that lands good again. If you notice, Nelson is a gentleman. He checks his gloves before he fights. I'll be a gentleman after the fight. He's way back on top of Sanchez. See what kind of action he gets.
Man, those Mexican warriors, as people would say, man, they have such great chins throughout history. The great fighters.
Yeah.
The hell is Zuma's doing? Oof, nice right hand though. Jesus, man, he's so bad technically though. He'll put jabs out, like I said, standing square up, but I mean, physically gifted. Mentally, I mean, how much tougher can you get?
He's been knocked down and been hurt a number of times. He looks pretty good.
Very good and very determined.
Yeah, Boz, I have this fight actually very one-sided. I feel like I'm in the minority, but that's okay.
Even though Sanchez don't look worried, he know he's in a fight.
Yeah. Salvador Sanchez catching Nelson more as he's charging in a bit recklessly. I've seen him winging a lot of stuff, just catching air and paying a price for it.
Yeah, I feel like Salvador could have been doing this a lot earlier.
Yeah.
You see, it's just flicking the jab out, and that's it.
Yeah.
There you go. See, I should have uppercutted his way out of there. Now he's in. Yeah, that was very unnecessary.
When you force Sanchez into the trenches, he will stand in exchange, but certainly the smart move is to continue to box from the outside, where he's been pretty much successful overwhelmingly, even with just flicking the jab out there, as mentioned. That water is just bound to happen.
Sure did. The ref need to guard that spot.
Right.
Got me ducking and dodging out here.
Oh yes.
Is that round 12? Oops. Yeah, man. Gomez, man. Shit. Getting stopped by all these goddamn greats. He's not doing very well health wise. I think like one of his family members was taking care of him, and when someone to go check up on him, he's like living in his own, what's a good word for it? Waste. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
man. Because he's I forgot what it is that he has, but basically he's he can't live. He has to depend on others. Hmm.
Yeah. I know Bruce Gass did a tribute show at one point earlier this year or late last year, something of that nature. Uh, so yeah, tough stuff for sure. When all the
Hmm.
lights are dimmed and you're out there, tough stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, Dan. That's sounds about right.
Yeah, I think it's
Among
a
other
similar
things, I'm sure.
situation to uh, Benitez.
Yep, there you go. Boz just put it in too. Look at y'all. That's why y'all co-host, huh?
Right.
Yeah, man. See, look at that. Flicking of the jab has really changed this fight. If he could just shorten the inside exchanges, like I said, sidestep, um, or push him back, I think this would be a lot clearer for Salvador.
Yeah.
Which is what we like to see, but I mean, at the end of the day, if you're taking unnecessary punishment.
Yeah. And it may be the fact that we're deeper into the fight for Nelson, but unlike earlier, those punches are a bit further off when he's throwing them now. So really not a lot of accuracy in there. And Sanchez is having success, of course, picking him off if he catches him right in the midst, countering him.
Boz has said it, man. I mean, Salvador knocks people out late, and you can see it. He's fresh. You see Azumah really bending over his front knee a lot. I mean,
Yeah,
why he hasn't thrown the uppercut, Sanchez, I just don't know.
yeah. Nelson letting that earlier for him go by the wayside. Nice left hook and
Yeah,
uppercut.
Jesus. Ate that shit like and the uppercut. Yeah, ate that shit like nothing though.
Mhm.
Yeah, like didn't Azuma and Jesse Leja like fight like 4 freaking times?
Jesse James Leah. I don't think I've seen either of those fights.
And they fought like a shitload of times. Like the early to like late 90s. Yeah, besides that inside exchange where he landed like 2 good left hands, I think it's been mostly Salvador's round.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good body shot? Jesus, man. Every time like Salvador's got this round in the bag, he gets fucking hammered.
Oof. Caught a nice one at the
Oh,
tail
well,
end
there
there.
you go. Woof.
That's a Interesting, very interesting round right there.
Gotta be, John, and I want the opportunity to put on the show right here too.
We're going to take another look at that shot just at the bell. There it is. He almost went down from it.
That seemed to be
Yeah, at this point, a lot of the cleaner work
Well,
is
we're off
obvious
to an exciting
from
night.
Sanchez,
The
but
uniforms
Nelson,
that you're getting tonight.
when he gets in there and throws in combination,
A little too excited.
a couple of them land here and there.
I gave that last round to Nelson.
Mhm.
I said I gave that last round there to Nelson on the early lead.
Okay, we're in round
Oof.
14. It's a 15-round fight. One more round after this. For the World Featherweight Championship, the champion is Sanchez. The challenger is
Well, I do think the back half of this contest has been Sanchez. Nelson, of course, was at his best in the earlier rounds, and I think a lot of that has to do with you can just tell that Azumah Nelson he's kind of dropped his guard a little bit as he looks to gear more towards the offensive side, and therefore Salvador is catching him.
Three good jabs in the right hand.
Yeah, I need Sanchez needs a knockout or a couple knockdowns on my scorecard. I have it
Nelson told Sanchez he needed
125,
to
122.
take this guy
2 rounds
out.
to go. So Azuma by 3 points.
2 minutes left in the round. Round 14.
The blood still pours out of Nelson's nose. He's been doing that all night, but don't seem like it's affecting him.
Man, Azuma's looking very inaccurate, uh, reaching a lot.
He's got Sanchez on the ropes and right up above
Yeah,
him, John.
this is his best. Look, come on, yeah, throw.
There's Jason Sanchez
Yeah,
now.
Zuma has to be tired because we've never seen him not throw punches on the inside.
Right, that sequence showed it all right there.
Man, what the fuck is he doing?
And you have to excuse me if I talk a little over you, but I'm just excited, man.
That's what I want you to be, Larry. You're the expert here.
Yeah, he's been landing good left hands. Just both these guys are tough as shit.
Yeah, indeed.
Nelson is tired.
Yeah, I know.
McCarthy hit him with a punch at the
They're
bell.
ignoring it, the ref at least.
Ref is doing a lot of
That
stuff.
is getting to him now, Larry. That championship territory is getting to him a little bit.
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
Because he's reaching for punches, but he still shows that determination.
Yeah.
Right.
Another 7 that he cuts. Loses. Good, clean move all the way through. And a good
Should
finish
have punched him in the headlock.
in round 14.
Yeah.
You know Sanchez can take you out in the last round, so you still have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
right. He can take you out at any
definitely agree
time.
with that. Yeah, man. A little low rider pit bull in there.
Oh, and it's come on again. That's the end of the round.
Nice.
He's still ready to go. Let's see.
Let's go.
Looks like he may be gone. He fell off his stool. He's a very, very tired fighter. He's got 3 minutes to go.
Cool round, cool round. Well, look, Salvador doesn't even have his fucking mouth open. This motherfucker's inhumane. What the hell?
He's built
It's not good
for
for your body. Come on, man. You've been 14 rounds.
it.
Last round, guys. Once again, man, if you haven't done so, you're just checking in. Just go ahead and hit that like button. Got a lot more coming for you every 2 weeks, right here, every Sunday. Well, every other Sunday. I'm sorry.
Indeed. Like and subscribe, folks.
So on Baz's scorecard, this is it. This is what Abaz and the rest of us were expecting last night or in yesterday's big matchup.
Right. More competitive, at least.
Hmm.
Nelson moved out of the corner. Tony Perez had to hold him back. This is the 15th and final round. And it's been a whale of a fight right from the
Yes,
start.
yes, Baz, yes.
You're dropping spoilers.
What do you think? We just picked it out of a hat and said, "Let's do it."
We can't let you go to a movie premiere or anything of that nature, Boz.
Here we go, baby.
So Nelson, like,
Fuck each other
gunning.
up. Fuck each other up. Oof.
Yeah, you down to your last ditch effort. Got to go all out like Nelson. Whew.
Oof. Right hand, boy.
Yeah, it could have been the case, certainly.
He told him, "Hey, listen, man. 31 years from now, a guy named Maxie Hughes is gonna leave the UK and come to Oklahoma to fight Australia and get robbed. You gotta fucking go out there and win."
Right.
Oof.
Boom.
Man, he's just that left hook, boy,
Man,
is
Nelson.
surgical.
A little too game for his own good. Mm. Too game for his own good right here. Look at him hopped immediately up. Knowing he's not good, he should have milked that a little bit more.
I thought he was about to zap judo it. Come up. No, I'm good. Hit the ground.
Almost there. And of course, he doesn't defensively hold. He only fights fire with fire.
I think that. Oh wait, did they throw the towel in? Yeah. Oh
I
no, that
thought that
was.
came in the
Yeah.
aftermath. It looked like the ref stopped it potentially, right?
Yeah.
Which, of course, it is the ref. I couldn't tell if the towel came in beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah. So they might have ran down and said, "Stop it, please. He's only 13-0." Oh yeah, there was a towel thrown.
Oh, that was
Wait, that was
afterwards.
after.
That was not. That
Afterwards.
was a neutral
Oh,
corner
okay.
right there.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Very swollen with blood coming out of his mouth. And that blood was in his mouth for quite a few rounds. Sanchez pulled it out.
Oh, interesting. This was very close. I wonder if yeah, I'm close with my scorecards as Boz is there.
Did we get actual scorecards for this revealed, or are they a mystery?
Yeah. I'll pull them up. Nah, they're a little more transparent back then than now.
When did Archie get completed?
From what I remember, it was like looked like it was gonna be split for Sanchez, but I'm gonna get confirmation on that. Oops, wrong Salvador Sanchez. Gosh darn it, there he is. What is in the meantime though, this was Salvador Sanchez's last fight. Unfortunately, 3 weeks later, he was in his sports car and went to pass a vehicle that he felt was blocking him and went head-on collision with a semi. He died instantly. So yeah,
Yeah,
That's brutal. I honestly expected
indeed.
that he passed away with a sudden knockout.
Yeah,
yeah. So the scorecards were 134, 131, 135, 131 for Sanchez, and then 133, 132 for Azuma.
close fight. Very close fight.
Okay, let's have a quick look at what our score is. Okay, so after
Interesting. Wow.
I don't believe so. Not that I came across.
I'm sure it would have been up there in the mix, but yeah, I don't recall.
I mean, 1982 isn't that the year that Leonard and Hearns
Mm.
or Hearns Hagler, or was that 85? Hearns Hagler was 85, wasn't it?
Mm.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Maybe
content.
wrong, but oh well.
Gotta check that out.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Mm. Yeah, probably Chacon is probably how you pronounce it. You were saying it right. Shout out Rodolfo. Thanks for stopping by.
Rodolfo, salute. Now, so this was a close fight. I did give Sanchez two of those first four rounds. Others may have given him only one. Or I know someone had it 4-0. Who did I give it to? Round four. That's funny.
No worries. I mean, honestly, there's only one fight, well, one card of I guess of note coming up this week, and that is everyone's favorite new boxer, Jake Paul, facing Nate Diaz. Um,
Mm.
and then the co-feature, we get a useless rematch between Amanda Serrano versus Heather Hardy, and that is Amanda Serrano defending her undisputed championship at featherweight. And somebody I think that really needs to get a little bit of shine because I think she is the biggest threat in all of women's boxing. That is Shadeja Green at 168 pounds. Is supposed to be the WBC mandatory, so which means puts her in line to face Savannah Marshall. She's facing a young lady named Olivia Curry, but Shadeja Green is an actual real puncher in the women's division. And if you saw
Mhm.
her last fight, I can't pronounce her name. Curris. It was the one that what's the American's name that just fought Savannah Marshall?
Oh, French on.
Franchon Cruz fought for undisputed. Yeah, so
Oh yeah.
Shadeja beat that same opponent that Franchon beat, and she beat the living shit out of that young lady. It was very brutal, but it was just the skill she showed. I mean, the shoulder roll, the pull counters, fighting off the back foot and hurting this girl off the ropes with her right hand. Shadeja Green is a former NCAA women's scholarship basketball player, so she's athletic. Like I said, Clarissa Shields said this is probably the best woman fighter out there besides herself. And she's gonna get big stage. She signed with Jake Paul. So out of all things maybe we don't like about this card, I would say definitely support Shadeja Green. because she deserves to have a push behind her. Because I think with everything that is said about her and the little I've seen, she deserves to get that chance to be uplifted into the top echelon and get a chance at a Savannah Marshall or a Clarissa Shields.
Oh, well, I think Alex summed it up perfectly. I will say that I don't think that Heather Hardy has much of a chance, but it's a good opportunity for her to get a solid payday for sure. Being in there with Serrano, had they fought before? I feel like they may have fought before, but I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah, they fought before.
Okay, yeah, yeah, man. I think that, yeah, I think we're gonna see a similar situation, unanimous decision, uh, if not some late stoppage or something of that nature. But I look forward to it and want to see Serrano versus someone coming up. Alicia Baumgartner had said she wants Serrano, so I think that would be a good one. Well, he's back to what he does best, knocking out these MMA fighters. I think Diaz will be a little bit more competitive because he has worked with boxing, or at least worked on boxing a bit more. But that being said, I don't expect him to come out victorious.
Yeah, even though it's unconventional, I guess I'll say, with Jake Paul's career and these type of matchups being the main events, he is bringing light, uh, spotlights to boxing. So yeah, I mean, he's facing a guy that's older, MMA fighter, but this guy has actual boxing experience. If you're aware, it's not professional, but him and his brother Nick Diaz were training partners with Andre Ward,
Yeah,
throughout the years. So I don't think he's actually shown too much of actual boxing in his MMA career. There's times he throws the 1-2, but he's not like what you call it, just throwing an actual like 1-2 step over. He throws a very
mhm.
nice 1-2. But MMA is different, so maybe we can see something that we are unaware of. But yeah, I expect Jake Paul to get this victory, either boring unanimous decision, or maybe he gets him out of there off of cuts or something.
Yeah. A little Wednesday action, huh?
A lot of small cards, like here in the U.S. for sure. We have this overtime boxing, which is trying to make a big splash. That's happening this Friday on the Zone. We got
Yeah,
Showbox.
yeah. Uh, I believe that Wednesday one I saw Plant City, so it's likely going to be on Showbox. And Team Combat League, I know they're going to be kicking back off here very soon with the finals, something of that nature in California. So that may be coming up as well.
But yeah, I see the big fights are like, quote unquote big fights are August 12th. We got like three different cards. We did speak about it briefly. I can understand why the matchup's being made for them personally. I think as the fight gets closer, we'll probably be more hyped. But kind of what you just said, kind of, meh. But it is what it is. These guys now are training in the U.S. Second fight with their U.S. trainers. I think right now, after what happened yesterday, I think Derek James is going to really need to show. Well, I would say need to, but if people are going to say that he's one of the best trainers, I think this is another example he can give us If he's able to show something new within Anthony Joshua, get that confidence back and really be able to show some IQ. He's shown that he's superior to White before, but both of them have had such pretty good careers. Obviously, Joshua the more accolades.
Mhm.
Dillian never been champion, but fighting top guys, you got to give him his credit for that.
Yeah.
So I'll be tuning in most likely. It's a good time over here, probably about 5, 6 o'clock or Eastern Daylight Time. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'll be tuning in. AJ knows the name over here, so it's gonna sell. I think the arena sold out within minutes.
Yeah.
Super Arena. So
Hmm.
I mean, it's a kind of a matchroom thing on a big event. It's kind of always it gets sold out quite quick when it's Joshua. But yeah, since the first fight, obviously Dillian White then had a very good run. Beating Parker. Um, Rivas was a good fight on in front of that one. Beat Derek Chisora as well until he got unstuck and then hit him with that monster uppercut stoppage. And then obviously he beat Povetkin after that, and then he lost to Tyson Fury. Um, both got the win over Jermaine Franklin, I think, as the last fight. But yeah, I mean, I don't see this being much different to the first fight. I think Joshua will probably stop Dillian White maybe in the first fight. But we'll see. Kind of okay against Jermaine Franklin. Did Joshua last time out, but probably need to make more effort in getting him out of there maybe. Um, I guess there's a little bit of intrigue as to where Joshua is at these days. Um, is the motivation still there? Because this is another fight that is with all the accolades against the Usyk sort of where he was defending the title before he lost it. So yeah, I guess there's an intrigue in that regard. Josh, have you got much to say about this one?
I was looking at as you were scrolling down. Yeah, Joshua was on a pretty solid run there. Just almost every fight was title fights, multiple titles like that. But certainly it'll be interesting to see how he looks and deals with an opponent who he has history with, even going back to the amateurs, and whether or not he has that same intensity that will see him gain victory via stoppage or via KO, which is he's very much capable of doing. We've seen him do it. We know that he's still building himself back up from a confidence perspective, and this seems to be the perfect opponent for kind of getting him over that hump to where we may be able to see him in there with one of the other top flight heavyweights like Fury. I don't know about Usyk, maybe Deontay Wilder would be an interesting one. I think that one has a lot of, it still has some fanfare surrounding it since we were anticipating it a good while back. So that's probably the one I would most want to see him, or the route I most want to see him go against Deontay Wilder, assuming all works out with this one.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I think like I said, it doesn't really shine on the fight years ago when they were both on a bit of a collision course, weren't they? But it's still an explosive fight that would be good to see made. Um, but that remains to be seen whether that would be made. Um, on the undercards, there's Hrgovic against
Yeah.
Dillian. He always got such weird names. I've never heard his name before. Um, so I guess this one is probably one that Hrgovic is expected just to come through as a bit of a keep busy fight. Anything to add into that one?
For what I'll say is, I'm looking forward to seeing how Hrgovic looks. He hasn't fought since that matchup with Zhang Zhilei, which was a excellent fight. We got to see both of them truly going at it, and this is his sort of bounce back, I guess you can say. He had a lot of things going on, etc. leading into that particular contest. So maybe he's kind of in a good place, and this time has done him well. Not familiar with Dempsey McKean or from the actual viewing perspective, but that being said, he is undefeated. I think he has an opponent on his resume that Joseph Parker recently fought, if I'm not mistaken, where he got a win over him, which might have been that one in his last fight. And hey, we saw an Australian fighter upset the apple cart in some sense last week, I believe it was, when he knocked out Stephen Shaw, who was an American heavyweight who had some promise, I guess you can say. So wouldn't be surprised if McKean puts up a tougher fight than we expect. But I will lean towards Hergovich, and I think that he is a name that is top 10 at heavyweight, and I expect to see him in some huge fight at some point here down the road.
Well, hopefully. He seems to have been around forever. He's only had 15 fights.
Yeah.
He's been around a long time, and a lot of people were saying that he was supposed to be, the next big thing, or quite the next Eastern European fighter that was going to be, a fixture at heavyweight. But it's not really panned out that way so far. But
Yeah.
hopefully he'll crack on this year.
Yeah. I feel he had a lot of momentum. It seems to have died down a little bit, but I think that's just because he's been away. He was a bit more active. Of course, a lot of things going on with him this last year or so. But that then his father passed away, who I know he had to pull out the initial Jean Gelay fight. So maybe he's getting back on that active streak here, and this will set the tone. Oh yeah, that should be a good one. Oh, it looks like yeah, Alex is back in the mix there,
Sorry
but
about
he's
that.
frozen. Oh, there he goes. Hmm.
Yeah, they were supposed to meet up, I think, a few months ago. And I think Valdez pulled out with a back injury. So then we saw the fight with Liam Wilson. And I've never been a big supporter of Navarrete, his skills, I should say. Listen, the guy comes to fight, he comes to beat you up. And I think most fight fans like to see that. But I am a more fan of skills, boxing ability, setting him up with the jab. Navarrete does none of that. I mean, I don't know how he steps 5 feet away from you and within 2 steps hits you with an uppercut. It's pretty crazy, but he is facing a small guy that is shorter, a guy with less reach, but a guy with actual boxing ability. However, Valdez's last fight, that pointless rematch on the Haney undercard against Loma, against Blue Nose Lopez, he didn't look all that great. Could it be just him, trying to shake off the rust? Because I think he was out for more than a year, coming off the worst fight of his career on a one-sided, ass whooping, I guess you could say, against Shakur. It could be, multiple factors. However, if we get, top level Valdez, I think he has the boxing ability to beat Navarrete, but I just don't think we're going to see it, honestly. He'll have to prove us wrong again, like he did against Burchell, but I'm going to pick Navarrete by stoppage.
Okay, interesting. Good shout. Good shout.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Alex summed it up pretty well. Like Valdez, man, he had a lot of momentum, and he's been a very good fighter over the course of his career. You know, I've been a fan of him, a fan of his style. I've seen him fight live and all that stuff. He puts so much into those punches. You know, he can make it super intense, and he can make things exciting. And I think that there may be a potential for some excitement here, given that Navarrete has a awkward and unique type style where he does so many things unconventionally. But at this stage of his career, I do side with Alex, and I think that Valdez, he's kind of, I think he's peaked essentially, and I think that Navarrete may be able to get him out of there, may be able to draw him in, take him off of the boxing aspect of it, and we'll see how Valdez's power carries, or at least where it stands now, if he's banging out with Navarrete, who we saw hurt against Wilson, but by that same token, Navarrete was pretty loose in there, and I wonder how much he put into training going into that fight. But as it relates to this one, I think he'll be on game, and I just think that, yeah, Valdez, he had that high peak moment. He was a champion. Was he unified as a champion? I can't remember if he was unified. Might have been unified, and I think that was sort of the pinnacle for him and his career, at least at this point. So I'm thinking Navarrete gets the victory. Oscar Valdez may hang around. The sport's still a good deal, but I just gonna continue to be tough treading, especially going up against a rare and technical fighter, which Shakir Stevenson, there are not too many of them around, but I think he showed that Valdez was a bit more limited than what some may expect or may have thought.
Okay, interesting. I thought it was a good contest. I think I'm gonna go with the Shoe Boys. I'm gonna pick Oscar Valdez there. Um, another really good boxing guy is Watchalong.
Mhm.
Nice.
I've lost again. Lost twice, so maybe hindsight
Yeah.
tempts me in hindsight to put Fraser for Valdez, but it looked really good in stopping it. I remember in that fight, and he beat Robson on TikTok, which is pretty decent when he's not a bad fighter as well. And obviously just bounced up against Shakur Stevenson, which anyone would think because he's a pretty special talent. Um, and I don't think Navarrete is at that caliber. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I just think I'd go Oscar Valdez just to win. Obviously Navarrete is a top fighter and he's got some great wins. I still can't believe he's only 28 years old. It seems like he's been around forever. Um, whether that has any factors, whether he's like, even more than a 20 something year old kid, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I'm gonna go for a Valdez victory there. Just fixing a little bit. I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys know of any of the undercards that might be on there.
I do want to mention there is a co-main event. Yeah, yeah. There's Raymond Morataya versus Diego Torres. That's I think is going to be explosive. Morataya is 18-0 with 15 knockouts, and Diego Torres. I don't think he's ringing in bells in a lot of people's ears, but he's been on a couple Munguia undercards. When Munguia fought a gentleman named Correa, uh, he had like a highlight knockout reel that was really trending. So yeah, Diego Torres 17-0 with 16 knockouts, about to turn 26. So that might be a real banger. I'm not fully on this Morataya train. A lot of people do support him. He's trained by Robert Garcia. Just had a great second round knockout of Nakatilia on the Haney versus Loma undercard. So yeah, definitely something you want to keep your eyes on.
All right.
Yeah.
I think that probably then wraps us up for this time. Uh, obviously, the other fights are later on. So,
Yes, it's going down. Be sure to come through, folks, for sure. Gonna talk about some of the same things, but it should be good.
All right, cool. Yeah, make sure you go on planning to see the YouTube channel and subscribe to that as well. You'll get to hear and see Josh and Ross do their thing. We'll be there while we sort out stuff. All right, thank you very much, boys. As usual, thank you to everyone that stopped by and spoke along with us, and we will see you again in the future. Cheers.
Cheers.
Peace.